Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam Stuti series, continuing with Bhishma Stuti, Shloka number 41, chapter 9 of Canto 1. Munigana nripa varya sankulentaha
Munigana nripa varya sankulentaha
sadasi yudhishthira rājasūya-yajña
Sadasi Yudhishthira Rājasūya-yajña
arhanam upapeda ikshaniyaha
Arhanam upapeda ikshaniyaha
mama drishigochara esha aviratma.
Mama drishigochara eva esha aviratma.
Forward meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Munigana,
Munigana,
the great learned sages.
the great learned sages.
Nripavarya,
Nripavarya,
the great ruling kings.
the great ruling kings.
Sankule,
Sankule,
the great assembly of.
in the great assembly of.
Antaha Sadasi,
Antaha Sadasi,
conference.
conference.
Yudhishthira,
Yudhishthira,
of Emperor Yudhishthira.
of Emperor Yudhishthira.
Rājasūya,
Rājasūya,
a royal performance of sacrifice.
a royal performance of sacrifice.
Esham,
Esham,
of all the great elites.
of all the great elites.
Arhanam,
Arhanam,
respectful worship.
respectful worship.
Upapeda,
Upapeda,
received.
received.
Ikshaniyaha,
Ikshaniyaha,
the object of attraction.
the object of attraction.
Mama,
Mama,
my.
my.
Drishi,
Drishi,
sight.
sight.
Gocharaha,
Gocharaha,
within the view of.
within the view of.
Eshaha avihi,
Eshaha avihi,
personally present.
personally present.
Atma,
Atma,
the soul.
the soul.
Translation: at the Rājasūya-yajña sacrifice
At the Rājasūya-yajña sacrifice
performed by Maharaja Yudhishthira,
performed by Maharaja Yudhishthira,
there was the greatest assembly
there was the greatest assembly
of all the elite men of the world,
of all the elite men of the world,
the royal and learned orders,
the royal and learned orders,
and in that great assembly,
and in that great assembly,
Lord Shri Krishna
Lord Shri Krishna
was worshipped by one and all
was worshipped by one and all
as the most exalted personality of Godhead.
as the most exalted personality of Godhead.
This happened during my presence,
This happened during my presence,
and I remembered the incident
and I remembered the incident
in order to keep my mind upon the Lord.
in order to keep my mind upon the Lord.
So from glorifying Krishna, Arjuna to the gopis to now remembering how the Lord was being worshipped by everybody who was present there. So this certainly establishes the Lord's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, after gaining victory in the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaja Yudhishthira, the emperor of the world, performed the Rājasūya sacrificial ceremony. The emperor in those days, upon his ascendance to the throne, would send a challenge horse all over the world to declare his supremacy. And any ruling prince or king was at liberty to accept the challenge and express his tacit willingness either to obey or to disobey the supremacy of the particular emperor. One who accepted the challenge had to fight with the emperor and establish his own supremacy by victory. The defeated king would have to sacrifice his life, making a place for another king or ruler. So Maharaja Yudhishthira will also dispatch such challenging horses all over the world and every ruling prince and king all over the world accepted Maharaja Yudhishthira's leadership as the emperor of the world. After this, all rulers of the world under the regime of Maharaja Yudhishthira were invited to participate in the great sacrificial ceremony of Rājasūya. Such performances required hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was not an easy job for a petty king. Such a sacrificial ceremony being too expensive and also difficult to perform under present circumstances is now impossible in this age of Kali. Nor can anyone secure the required expert priesthood to take charge of the ceremony. There are, if you read the Bhagavatam, in one of the purports in the second canto, Prabhupada writes that there are 4 different types of priests who are engaged in that sacrificial ceremony. One is the priest who can actually light a fire from scratch. One is the priest who can offer. One is the priest who can chant. And one is the priest who actually oversees the entire yajna. So any yajna is considered incomplete unless you have these 4 experts sitting there. One who oversees the yajna, one who recites the mantras, one who lights the fire, and one who knows how to offer everything into the sacrificial fire. And they all have different Sanskrit terms for each of those priests. So after being invited, all the kings and great learned sages of the world assembled in the capital of Maharaja Yudhishthira. The learned society, including the great philosophers, religionists, physicians, scientists, and all great sages were invited. That is to say, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were the topmost leading men in society, and they were all invited to participate in the assembly. The Vaishyas and Shudras were unimportant elements in society, and they are not mentioned herein. Due to the change of social activities in the modern age, the importance of men has also changed in terms of occupational positions. So everything has changed in modern day life. Nothing is the same as it used to be. So in that great assembly, Lord Shri Krishna was the cynosure of neighboring eyes. Cynosure means he was the main focus for everybody. Everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respects to the Lord. Bhishma Deva remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. This is exactly what Bhishma Deva has been doing. He's recollecting certain activities. He's recollecting the form of Parthasarathi. He's recollecting the pastimes of the gopis. And of course, here the name and fame of the Lord such that everybody had come to take darshan of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme, which means it's easier to meditate on the activities, the form, the pastimes, the name and fame of the Lord than to meditate on nothingness or the impersonal feature. It is practically no meditation or simply a waste of time because very seldom is the desired result obtained. Which means for those who are meditating on the impersonal aspect of the Lord, they are not very successful. Of course, Krishna himself says that in the 12th chapter, the 5th shloka, that such a process of meditating on the impersonal aspect of the Lord is both difficult and impractical. These are the 2 words that Krishna uses. The devotees, however, meditate upon the Lord's factual form and pastimes, and therefore the Lord is easily approachable by the devotees. This is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita in the Chatushloke, shloka number 9 of the 12th chapter. The Lord is non-different from his transcendental activities. It is indicated also in this shloka that Lord Shri Krishna, while actually present before human society, especially in connection with the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was accepted as the greatest personality of the time, although he might not have been recognized as the Supreme Personality of God, which is interesting. Not everybody would have recognized Krishna as the Supreme Lord, but everybody accepted him in those times as the greatest personality. The propaganda that a very great man is worshipped as God after his death is misleading, because a man after his death cannot be made into God. Nor can the personality of Godhead be a human being, even when he is personally present. Both ideas are misconceptions. The idea of anthropomorphism cannot be applicable in the case of Lord Krishna. Anthropomorphism means that the Lord can be worshipped in any way, any shape, any form. Lord is the Lord. He has his eternal form as Shyamasundara, and that is the form that needs to be worshipped. So we're going to just briefly talk about rasas. This is the end of Prabhupada's purport. In a rasa, there is the concept of the lover and the beloved, right? So the intensity of that loving relationship only changes from Sakya ras to Vatsalya ras to Madhurya ras. The intensity and the mood of service shifts from rasa to rasa. So if you look at it that way, we can see that if there is a loving relationship between two personalities, is the relationship in such a situation that you give more than you get. So that's one way of assessing the quantum of love, which is, do you give more than you get? Then there are certain loving relationships where you give exactly the same as you get, which is there's some sense of equality being applied to such relationships. And then in certain relationships, you get a lot more than what you give. So you give back very little, but you receive a lot of love. Krishna doesn't fall in any of these categories as a lover. So nor is he giving more than he gets, nor is he giving you exactly equal, nor is he giving you less than what you are giving. So which category does Krishna fall in? There is a fourth category. Krishna is saying to the devotees, whenever you hanker for me, the way I reciprocate with you is I intensify your hankering for me. Correct? So the way Krishna reciprocates is that when you express your love for him in a sincere way, he is actually intensifying your expression of love over and over again. Why would he do that? Then what is his reciprocation? His reciprocation is simply to intensify your desire for him and thus bring you closer and closer to him. So Krishna does not want us to be complacent in our love for him. Therefore, when you have a relationship with Krishna, there's never a dull moment. Until the day we die, something is always going on in our loving relationship with Krishna. There is a saying, when you get into the aircraft, they say all of us must first fasten our seatbelt because you don't know when the ride is going to be bumpy. But then after you fastened your seatbelt, what does the pilot say? Relax and enjoy the flight. So that's the relationship that we have with Krishna. Sometimes it may be a bumpy ride, but nevertheless, if we are relaxed, we can enjoy that relationship with Krishna. So the gopis, when they were dancing with Krishna, each of the gopis thought that Krishna was dancing only with them. They could not see the other gopis and they could not see Krishna dancing with the other gopis. This is that fourth category of Krishna, where he simply intensifies your desire for him, such that you only see Krishna and nobody else. Whereas, when you read about the rasa dance in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that the devatas were witnessing this rasa dance from their position in the heavenly planets. Does that mean the devatas are higher than the gopis? No, but their vision was broader because of their situation of being more, quote unquote, educated in the transcendental subject matter. They could see all of the gopis dancing with Krishna. But the gopis could not see this. They could only see themselves dancing with Krishna. And that is because of the power of the Yogamaya potency of the Lord. Their attachment brought them closer to Krishna, such that they couldn't see anything else. Whereas the devatas were at a distance from Krishna because of their educated status. Educated, I'm talking about transcendental knowledge. Therefore, they were able to observe Krishna from a distance. The closer you get to Krishna, the less you see others. You are only focused on your relationship with Krishna. So much so that the gopis were concerned for the health and well-being of Krishna. Every time Krishna got back from the pasturing pastimes, the gopis didn't think, what has Krishna got for me? Has he got me some special gift? No, they were thinking, have any thorns, pierced Krishna's very tender lotus feet? Is he tired? Has everything been okay? So their focus was always on Krishna, not on themselves. So day and night, this was the meditation of the gopis. Is Krishna okay? Is he happy? So the foundation of Madhurya Ras is Krishna's well-being, Krishna's happiness. That is Madhurya Ras. Whereas in the other rasas, yes, definitely Krishna's well-being would also be a foundation for Vatsalya Bhava. It may also be so for in the Sakhya Ras, but the intensity of worry for the well-being and happiness of Krishna would most certainly vary between Vatsalya Ras and Madhurya Ras. But that does not mean those rasas are considered to be inferior. They also have their intensity. So the gopis were not interested in philosophy. The gopis were only interested in how can they make Krishna happy and what needs to be done for the pleasure of Krishna. So here you can see that Bhishma Dev is remembering so many different facets of Krishna. The fact that he was a close friend of Arjuna. The fact that he went out of his way to protect his close friend Arjuna on the battlefield. How he himself came rushing towards Bhishma Dev to fulfill Bhishma Dev's desire to see him in that fighting spot. How he danced with the gopis and how he suddenly disappeared from their sight. When he disappeared from their sight, did that mean that Krishna was rejecting the love of the gopis? No, he was only intensifying their desire to find him. And then here, coming back to how such a great personality was accepted by all of the Brahmanas, and therefore when the Rājasūya-yajña was performed, all of the great kings and all of the well-known Brahmanas, they all came to assemble there to take darshan of Lord Krishna and also witness how he was being worshipped as the topmost personality. And Bhishma Dev is saying, I have remembered this so that I can keep my mind on this Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. So Bhishma Dev has covered so many different facets of Krishna. in these shlokas.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.